We are back. It is the Field of 68's Best Bets show presented by BetRivers. We are the three-man weave. We are here to take you through the Saturday slate. I got to start, though. Matt, you have ruined the sanctity of Spinny Saturday out in Maui. What happened? Where's the Spinny hat?
Jim, it's a tough pack. Suitcase, carry-on. The propellers are very fragile, as we know, and you don't get that same lift if any of that's damaged. So I didn't want to take any chances, but I am repping the proud Islanders here strongly. For usual, even though there's literally no sun out right now. This is a blinding ring light in my face. That's what the sunnies are for.
Kai, do you have any takeaways from yesterday? Let's get right to that before we start going through the slate.
Well, Jim, a couple takeaways about just teams who are good. Clemson, I think, is good. I think Clemson's good, guys. I think we need to give them a little hat tip.
Great.
Bonnie's came back, pushed the game, -3, but good for the Tigers.
Kai, how do you feel? Do you think Clemson is the 11th best team in the ACC? That's like the hot thing is, look at this. They were picked 11th in the preseason poll.
I got to do some mental math there, Jim. Probably not. ACC's kind of struggling, right, this year? I bet they finished higher than that. And then James Madison. Congrats to our buddy Matt Cox
for calling
that on the show yesterday. Yeah, look at them taking down George Mason, the once invincible George Mason. Hooray for Byington. Hooray for the Dukes, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, the regular season is going to be their Super Bowl the whole time because they're currently ineligible for CAA tournament play because of terrible, awful bylaws. Matt, anything you saw yesterday that you are willing to tell us today?
Didn't watch a ton of hoop, Jim. Did a lot of score hawking. Very impressed with Alabama. They've played a pretty strong mid-major laden schedule to date, taking care of business pretty handily against every opponent. Save South Alabama, which got a little bit dicey, but I think we all agree that USA is a pretty solid squad. Took care of Oakland, who's been a giant killer to start. Upcoming on the slate, they have Iona, who beat Liberty yesterday. Very impressive, despite a ghastly shooting performance in the first half. And then the much anticipated date with Gonzaga on December 4th. So looking to learn more about the Crimson Tide, a team that I think is 1A, 1B with Kentucky, or a 1A, 1B, 1C with Kentucky, Tennessee atop the SEC totem pole.
Yeah, Matt, your boy Jamal Cain had 33 to try to keep Oakland in it, but it just wasn't enough.
He's a grown kid in a kiddie pool, in my opinion. So how Marquette wasted him is I'll never understand that.
My takeaways, guys, I was in person at the Roman main event. The Wichita State Arizona game was absolutely banana land. I think Rothstein tweeted that he'd never seen a game with so much back and forth in terms of momentum, and it felt that way. There were 3 to 4 times I was like, oh, Arizona's going to win by 25, and Wichita State punched back. It was pretty impressive. And then in the nightcap, we talked a little bit about it, guys, but Moussa Diabate is a monster.
Yeah,
Michigan. He kind of had his coming out party last night. He was the best player on the floor. I'm sorry to Hunter Dickinson, but Diabate was just making things happen on both ends. Really was the difference against the UNLV team that kind of lacks some offensive firepower. Now we get the big Arizona-Michigan showdown on Sunday. Looking forward to that. But we got some Saturday games to get to first. Let's start there. Matt, we're going to the Hall of Fame tip-off out in Uncasville. The Mohegan Sun is hosting 2 big ones, starting with Villanova and Tennessee. Top 5-ish, top 10 matchup here. Villanova, a short favorite, -2. You really got to tag Nova inside, Matthew. Do you think your Vols can do it? You've been a big believer in this Tennessee team all preseason.
I have been. Nothing I've seen so far makes me want to or abandon that take. And Villanova has been pretty damn awesome as well. Throw away the late 5-minute collapse and Pauley Pavilion. Certainly nothing wrong on their resume. Jim, I have no strong side take. I think the line's pretty damn sharp. Open at 2.5. It's down to 2 at most places, 1.5 on a few books, but I believe BetRivers, our fine sponsor, has it sitting comfortably at Villanova -2. I'm looking at the under, and I'm actually against the market, Kai. It looks like it's been bet up. I think Nova and Tennessee's defense Tennessee's defense is as advertised. Nova's defense is what's underrated, and I think some of their totals have been inflated by insane shot making. CC Mount St. Mary's, who somehow put up, I'm sorry, not Mount St. Mary's.
Howard
put up 81 points. Yeah. I think I think this is kind of a rock fight, actually. So I like the under, Kai.
Yeah, just hooray for this matchup in general. Villanova could be top 5, in my opinion. Tennessee could be top 10. Awesome offense versus awesome defense. It's going to be a really fun game to watch. It's tipping at noon Central, which is great. Both teams are huge, athletic, physical. I think you can shoot against Tennessee. I think that's the advantage for Villanova. I think they can spread them out a little bit. And that's going to be the key. And I think Jay Wright's going to have a good plan here. I don't trust Rick Barnes quite as much. So I'm leaning towards Wright here. I'm leaning towards Villanova spacing. I'm leaning towards Nova -2.
The thing I want to see from Tennessee is I think we got an awesome blueprint on how to defend Villanova from UCLA in that final 5 minutes that Matt referred to. It was basically, you know what? We're not helping off shooters anymore. We dare you to beat us one-on-one. It's got to be Gillespie drives, and he missed a bunch of layups against UCLA. And then like Justin Moore post-ups, Eric Dixon post-ups. Those don't scare me as much as Villanova attacking rotating defenses. So I think you've got to not help, rely on your one-on-one defenders, and Tennessee has the guys to do that. So I'm a little spooked on the side. I kind of lean with Matt on the under. I think this does turn into a bit of a grind, half court game, and both defenses can get some stops. So would lean to you there, Matthew.
Yeah, I think that we'll find out how much this team misses JRE today, right? I think a lot of people, he was their best player. They're the catalyst last season. This year, his absence, or in this matchup, his absence will be felt, I think.
Yep. The other showdown out there at the Mohegan Sun, we've got North Carolina and Purdue. Coming into the year, we were like, all right, 2 top 15-ish teams probably, but UNC has been a little dicey. And Kyle, we got a big spread here now. It's been bet up from 6 to 7.5 at BetRivers. High total, 151.5. Feels weird to say that about a Purdue game. They just feel like more of a half-court team, but the offense has been a fireball so far this year. Kind of a Godzilla versus Kong matchup in the paint, Kai.
Ooh, like that.
Do you see any of either team getting some supremacy there, or is the edge going to be gained via the backcourt play?
Well, the line's high, Jim, but maybe it should be. Purdue's been just awesome. UNC's 0-3 against the spread. I just think UNC's been bored. They've been playing with their food. I know we don't really know what to expect from them, but they haven't had a game that they can just get up for. That changes today. Purdue, first game away from Mackey, definitely their biggest challenge so far this season. Maybe UNC size kind of puts them back a little bit. Like, oh, this team's actually as big as us or close to it. We're going to have to actually work to get this win instead of cruising like we have the first 3 games. I'm hoping that's the case because I'm definitely leaning towards UNC at plus 7.5 here. Matt, kind of like Tennessee, I'm hoping UNC can pull Purdue's bigs away from the rim. That's going to be their key to scoring offensively.
Yeah, I do lean UNC at the current number, but this, I can picture myself betting it and then sort of looking the other way with one eye open, scared, just waiting for that inevitable Purdue onslaught. So I'm not going to bet it officially here. I'm actually looking at the over, and this total is high. Jim, you mentioned at the onset, Purdue's been scoring a lot more points this season. We expect they're playing a little faster, more open. Part of that is due to who they've played, Indiana State and Wright State most recently, and that those games were blowouts. Game kind of opened up. But I do think Purdue is more willing to run, which is actually, it kind of goes against the strength of their interior fulcrums with Travion Williams and Zach Edey. But they got athletes and wings on the perimeter, and they want to get up and go. And UNC will welcome that with open arms. I think this is kind of a pinball pace up and down. I would recommend a small overtake. 152 is a big total, but I think there's points galore both ways. And Jim, we've seen UNC guard no one to date.
That was going to be my point. Their defense is outside the top 100 at KenPom, and it deserves to be. Like, they have gotten stops against nobody, and it's not like aberrationally great shooting by opponents. Like, they're just scoring at will. Their 2-point percentage defense is 176th, and they've played 3 mid-majors. Like, that's very bad. That's a problem. But Caleb Love has been great.
He's been awesome.
He needs to be great again today. I think how you attack Purdue needs to be get Edey in space, get Travion Williams defending in space, get him in ball screen, spread him out. Mm-hmm. And that's been a little more of UNC's approach this year. It's not so much of the Roy Williams hammer the paint type stuff. And they've got bigs that can shoot. Garcia and Manick can bring Edey and Williams out to the perimeter. So we will see if that plays out. Number does feel a little high in terms of the spread. But man, Purdue is just a wagon right now. Yeah. It does feel a little to me like the games I saw yesterday, where the favorite it looked better. The favorite looked like, okay, they should dominate this game, but the dog can hang around. If UNC's got fight in them, they can hang around here. I don't have Hubert Davis stats as an underdog because he hasn't done one yet.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
NA.
Yep. All right. Next one on the outline, mid-majors. High-ish major. I know we go back and forth on how to label these teams, but we've got A10 headed to Missouri Valley, Richmond at Drake. Got Drake -4, total of 146. Last I checked at BetRivers. Matthew, can Richmond handle the pressure? I think they can. And it was pretty smart scheduling to play Georgia State right before this. A tune-up for a similar kind of get in your face, force turnovers defense. And Richmond passed with flying colors. I mean, they decimated Georgia State. That final total or the margin of 16 is not indicative. It was like a 30-point game in the second half.
Right. I think Richmond is still a team we're learning about. Utah State eviscerated them on offense, but then we've seen them do that to New Mexico State. So I think we're quickly learning how for real Utah State is. That double-digit loss does not look as bad as it did a few days ago. The Georgia State effort was super impressive. I think we all agree the Panthers are the front runner in the Sun Belt. Kai, the number does feel a little bit high. I just think these teams are closer to, this should be closer to a 2 or 3 point spread. I guess depends on how much you want to give for a home here. I would lean Richmond, to be honest, at the current number, because Jim mentioned the matchup success we just saw Drake have coming into this game. Richmond coming into this game. I would lean the Itsy Bitsies, but nothing strong here for me.
Yeah, we've only seen Drake once this year against a D1 team, but man, they were impressive. This team could definitely be top 50 good again, like they were last year, I believe. Was it 2 years ago?
No, last year. And last year they covered like their first 11 games of the season.
Yeah, they were the ultimate wagon non-con.
They defend, like Jim said, and I'm sure it's going to be a solid crowd. I actually think people will show up this game. I have no basis for that. I just assume that people show up for Drake games in Des Moines.
They do. I watched that South Dakota game and they had a monster crowd. So yeah.
Richmond, obviously veteran team. Gilliard probably handles the pressure pretty well. Golden initiates well, but Drake has a lot of versatile bigs. They can throw at Golden, throw him out of the rhythm in the Princeton offense. Another great game overall, Jim. I agree. It does feel a little bit high. So I'd probably lean towards Richmond. I do think Drake gets the win though. Yeah,
number is telling me it's a little high, but I lean towards Drake. DeVries has been the best against the spread coach since he took over. Mm-hmm. He is 60-32 against the number in 3+ seasons, 65%. So blindly backing Drake would have made you quite a bit of money. And I almost am tempted to do that today. The key, I think, is Brody needs to stay on the court. Big Darnell Brody, because otherwise they're not guarding Grant Golden. Like he's too good against doubles with his passing. So you need to be able to defend him one-on-one. They need Brody's strength on the court. So keeping an eye on that because he has foul trouble issues at times. All right, next one before we get to chat, and I hope you boys are monitoring it because I do not have it open currently.
I got it.
Try to pop it open. Utah versus Boston College, a neutral site game here. Two teams that changed coaches this offseason, trying to figure out their new identities. Matt, I've been a little surprised at how Utah has run this year. They've gotten out and gone in transition, really short average possession length. I know Craig Smith hinted that they might do that. Yep. I wasn't sure that they had the personnel, but it seems like they're delivering on that promise. And one thing that stayed consistent is the interior defense. It's always been a staple of Craig Smith, and he's got Riley Batten and Brandon Carlson in there just eating shots alive. 2-point percentage defense is great. Do we think Boston College has enough to hang around? We don't know if Brevin Galloway is going to be out there in this one.
I think the pace was a good point because Boston College just held Rhode Island to 61 possessions, a team that typically is willing to go up and down. That's Boston College's only prayer here is just sort of sucking Utah into a crawl to keep the margin inside the number, which is now sitting at 7-8, depending on where you look. I think it opened at 6. So some early money coming in on the Utes, Kai. You're right. I mean, Smith talked about how he wants to run. Surprising because the roster doesn't really exude like mega athletes and speed, but Craig Smith's offense is so the fluidity, the pace in which it gets into its action. It's so tough to guard. And, with short time to prepare, I think Utah has a major edge. I think the early money has the right side, but I think Boston College, because of the reason Jim mentioned with the injury concerns, slows the pace down. And for that reason, I'm not going to lay the 8 here.
Yeah, and we've seen BC sort of look like the BC we expected coming into the year. The last couple games, Fairfield, they won by 8. Rhode Island, they lost that game outright. It's still a team full of mid-major talent, Boston College. Utah, kind of the same thing technically, but it's three guys who Craig Smith has coached at Utah State, and David Jenkins is clearly a better player than a mid-major player. He's been great this year. Utah's been rolling, man. They've been steamrolling people. They have the better coach. I don't think it's particularly close. So I do think Utah probably gets done. Eight's pretty high, but I'll lean their way.
Yeah, to be clear, we don't dislike Earl Grant. We just think that highly of Craig Smith. Top 10 coach for all three of us. Kai, what are we looking at currently at BetRivers? You say it's 8?
It looks like -8, at least in Illinois, Jim.
All right, well, that's what I'm locking in, boys. That is my best bet.
All right.
Yeah. Utah -8. I would have loved it a little lower, but you know what? The market has moved, and I will ride with the market here. I just think they're able to dominate the paint here. And the guards have been a little better than I expected. They've gotten Gotch eligible. Bruce Gotch got his waiver. And Jenkins, Matt, like you mentioned, has been, or Kyle, sorry, you said it, has been a revelation. Like he kind of had a down year at UNLV, but he's back to the prime form that we know he is capable of. So Utah -8, my best bet of the day. Lock it in. Kai, let's go to the chat mob.
Let's go to the chat mob. Let's go to the Golden Retrievers because UMBC is playing Longwood. By the way, Longwood just beat American by 40 points, and that's not a misspeak right there. They won 82-42. I don't know how that's possible, to be honest, but it happened. Guys, any lean in this one? It's sitting at Longwood -2.5 currently at BetRivers. Jim, go to you.
Sort of a lean towards the over. I think UMBC games are big time overs. Like you said, Longwood scored 82 yesterday. I mean, it's not a fast tempo, but I think UMBC will try to run. My only concern is they're playing on a back-to-back, so it's not something I'm going to wholeheartedly endorse in terms of an over, but no real side for me, Matt, although Longwood has a sizable coaching advantage.
Yeah, we love Griff, Mr. Aldridge, Longwood doing yeoman's work. I like the over as well. Longwood's tempo sort of oscillates, but I think when I watch Justin Hill and Deshaun Wade play, it seems like they want to get out and run and push the pace. I think it's where they're actually at their best. And UMBC under Ferry, that's their MO. So yeah, I think over plays well here with the high possession game.
How about St. John's and Fairleigh Dickinson? It's -30.5 right now for St. John's, and it
could be 50. Could be 50.
Yeah, they're gonna win by 40 or 50.
Yeah, this was basically close to an auto bet. Like St. John's as big favorite against team with terrible ball handling is like, okay, yeah, let's do this. That's why they
fine with running.
Yeah, beat Mississippi Valley State by 70 or whatever they did, and they could do something similar to Fairleigh Dickinson, who does not play any defense. Certainly leaning towards the Johnnies.
Yeah, they just turned it over 20 times against Northwestern, so that could be 30 against St. John's.
Pressure Northwestern. How about North Dakota guys versus Florida Atlantic? I don't see a spread right now. Currently,
9 at BetRivers right now.
Yeah, it came down. I think it started out around 10. Jim, what do you think?
Certainly leaning towards North Dakota. I think Matt probably agrees. FAU feels a little overvalued in the market, and this one is at FAU. So if you want to give home court, but North Dakota just played in this gym. Like it's not foreign to them. They played in it yesterday. So I'm giving very little home, and I certainly lean towards the Nodax, Matthew.
Yep, I'm on the Nodex as well. Just seem to be undervalued in the market. They're sitting around 320 right now in KenPom. I had them yesterday against Troy. As Kai mentioned on yesterday's show, pretty impressive win over Montana there. Yeah. The rotation doesn't really look like I thought it would. Like their projected best players, like Vintu Panoam has been sort of just a guy. We've seen some of these rosters where it's like, why is X player not the high usage guy and Y players there? So I don't really get why their pecking order is shaking out the way it has, but they played well, and I'm going to ride them today again. I think the number's way too high.
Yeah, I agree. I'm leaning towards Nodax on that one. All right, Howard at High Point, pointing out in the chat that Howard can shoot. Well, that's freaking true, at least so far. I think they lead the country in 3-point percentage. Jim, that has to regress, right?
It's insane. And so, they lead the country in 3-point percentage at 52.2%. And that does not factor in the D1 game, or the non-D1 game against Regent, where they were 17 of 30. So like they just don't miss threes right now. It is insane. The regression is coming, and I want to be there because I'm relatively low on this Howard team, but apparently the market really likes High Point too. So there's nothing I can step in on here. The value is not there. I want to fade Howard. I want to, but I can't take High Point at like -4 right now.
It's strange that High Point is being valued highly by the market, but
I like High Point. I'm going to say that.
High Point.
I do quite a bit. I'm this close to adding it as the last second best bet. So High Point, brand new arena. They had a hype home crowd for their exhibition. I don't know why I watched High Point exhibition, but I did. It was like, oh my God, this place is like kind of rocking, and they're good. Good effort last game against Notre Dame. I think this is I think they finally catch Howard at the right regression monster revenge time.
Yeah. It was good.
Freshman Elijah Hawkins has been a monster for Howard. Like he's 10th in the country in usage, and he just kind of makes stuff happen, gets their shooters open. So keep an eye on him.
One more before we go back to you, Jim. It's a Chicago battle. It's Loyola and UIC. The Flames are heading up north to, Rogers Park, I think is what it is. Anyways, that's not important.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Gentile Arena, Kai.
Gentile Arena. This spread is massive, in my opinion. Obviously the travel's not a lot, but Matt, they have a pretty good home crowd at Loyola. I'm still giving them full home here. I just think it's still kind of big. I'm hoping Luke Yaklich can step up a little bit here, have some pride in his city, and get a cover here.
I am too. He has been shorthanded a little bit to start, only using a 7. man rotation. I guess he did play 8 that last game, looking at the box score now. So I think he kind of crawls it. He can defend. We know that that's Yaklich's calling card. Jim, I don't know. Just fading Loyola right now is not something I'm in the market to do. So I will stay away. But I think if you're going to play his side, it's probably on the Flames.
If Maurice Commander was playing, I would probably be on the Flames here. I think he's maybe their best guard, and he hasn't been able to play this year. So there've been a lot of Demaria Franklin, who's a Tennessee Tech transfer, and that's fine. That's solid. But I would like to see Commander on the court. Loyola's been such a wagon. I mean, they blew out Coppin State and Chicago State, who are 2 like bottom 10 teams in the country.
It's true.
And did not cover against Florida Gulf Coast. So I think Kai's probably leaning towards the right side, but I don't have the guts to take it without Commander on the floor.
Jim, take it away.
All right, we'll do. Chat Mob, hey, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button while we're here. Remember, 100 likes on a video gets Matt in a grass skirt hula dancing. So that is something to strive for 100%. All right, back to the outline. We got a power conference battle. Rare during this week to have 2 power teams playing a on-campus game. We got Stanford headed to Baylor, reigning national champions, getting their first real test of the season after dominating 3 inferior opponents. Looking at Baylor around -14, total of about 140. Guys, I was really impressed by Baylor's defense against Nichols. I'm like, okay, sure, it's Nichols, but that's the best team in the Southland. They gave TCU quite a fight. They have been pretty good against high major competition the past few years, and they got destroyed by this Baylor defense. The freshman class, Kai, Kendall Brown and Jeremy Sochan have been outstanding. I don't think they're getting the love that they probably should to this point.
Brown's a freak athlete, absolute freak athlete.
Close to a triple-double last game. What are we thinking here with Baylor Stanford?
Yeah, I'm kind of worried Stanford just doesn't score. Baylor's D is unbelievable. They're 6th in turnover rate, 1st in defensive rebounding right now, percentage. I have a penny on Stanford because I just wanted to. I think the line's a little bit high, but I have no faith in it. I would never recommend betting Stanford here. Matt, to their credit, Stanford's a pretty good defensive team. It's like their only hope to ugly the game up. They can definitely protect the glass. They're number 2 in defensive rebounding rate. Baylor's not going to get easy offensive rebounds. Well, they might, but maybe not as much as they normally do. Hopefully Stanford can make it ugly and win me that penny, but I have zero confidence in this program, and I have zero confidence in Jared Haas.
I'm with you on Stanford for like a fraction of a penny. Like you slice it in half, it's certainly a very small, but I think the number is just astronomically high. Given what we've seen Stanford, do defensively, they have James Dallaire and Max Reynaud, I believe is his name, the freshman 7-footer up front. He's been really impressive. Stanford hasn't played anyone awesome yet, but I mean, the Santa Clara loss, which we scoffed at the time. I mean, how good does that look right now? Right? I mean, Santa Clara's playing like a top 50 team almost.
I'm not going to say getting destroyed at home looks good.
It wasn't right, but it's not as like it didn't make me throw them in the dumpster like I probably would have if Santa Clara was playing like a normal Santa Clara team. I like the Stanford squad. I think Ingram's been phenomenal. The freshman, tough spot, obviously going on the road against Baylor, but I think the Bears are just not quite. They don't have that blow you away gear that they had last year. They have so far against inferior competition. I think they struggle to really blow Stanford away today. So I think there's value at the current number at 14.
I am opposite Matt. I think Baylor can blow them away. I am down on this Stanford team. They could not get away from San Jose State. They could not get away from shorthanded Valpo, who can't beat anybody, including Division II teams. So I am worried about Stanford. I think Baylor has that gear, Matt. I think we might see it for the first time today against quality competition. Your boy, Matthew Meyer, you're betting against him. How do you feel?
I know. That's why I'm only betting a half penny, Jim. Not even a real denomination of currency. But just something to know, I saw come across my feed. Adam Flagler is supposed to be a game time decision. I thought he was probable. So I don't know if there was a change in prognosis, looks a little more ominous, but he is, if not their most valuable player, one of their top 2 or 3 for the Bears. So if you're going to back Baylor, make sure you have some info on that.
Thing is, they're so deep. LJ Crier's been playing like their best.
Crier's been great too. Yeah.
The team's really good. They could be top 5 again.
Yeah. The fact that the freshmen have been as good as they are, I think warrants like, okay, they're up there again, like top 5-ish. All right. Next game, Chattanooga headed to VCU. VCU fresh off the strangulation of Vanderbilt on the road. Just a disgusting game. Guys, I'm going to read you the total number of points in every VCU game so far this year. 111, 102, and 85. That's why this total is 120. This game will be disgusting. VCU has lost all of its offensive creation without Ace Baldwin and Jameer Watkins and even Jaron McAllister. So they're playing grind, gross defensive struggles. And Chattanooga's not really going to push the tempo. Kai, we do like the mocks. We are big on Chattanooga, potentially the SoCon favorite this year, along with Furman. Can they go to VCU and do what Wagner did and take care of business?
I think they could, Jim. And I had the totals written down as well. It's wild. They've barely eclipsed the century mark twice. They're 23rd in defense. VCU is in the country. They're 227th in offense. So with their injuries, they're basically making every single game a war. And trying to ugly it up. And Matt, like Jim kind of mentioned, Chattanooga plays one of the slowest paces in the country. Despite having way more depth this year, Lamont Paris has opted to keep a short bench and keep it slow. They've played 63, 62, and 60 possessions this season. So there's no reason this game is going to go over like 65 possessions. It's going to stay in the low 60s. That probably favors VCU despite being a favorite. I just think it's going to be a low scoring game. I guess if you want to go for the dog, low scoring game angle, Matt, there's probably value on Chattanooga right now.
Yeah, I would like Chattanooga if it were the version of Chattanooga we saw last year, 2 years ago. Matt Ryan, more inverted bigs that can sort of, it's a wrinkle in the offense that can maybe stretch away those VCU awesome forward defenders, Hassan Ward, Levi Stockard, and Vince Williams on the wing, one of the best on-ball hawks in the nation, to be honest. So, but this version is more traditional, right? They have D'Souza up front. It's a typical, guard wing. So I think this is just a movable object meets movable object. Neither team can score. The numbers down to 120, as you mentioned, open to 123. People must be, I guess they must have this pegged at like 110 total. And you guys mentioned the total numbers off the top of the sheet here. I kind of like the under at 120 still. These low totals so far this year have been hitting under pretty consistently. So if you see a low total, don't be scared to hit it, folks. It's played pretty well so far this season.
Yeah, Ken Pom has this game at 125 points, and that's too high. I agree with the movement down. I mean, like we said, they haven't gone over 111, and now they're playing one of the slowest teams in the country. I think that the under might still have a little bit of value at 120. It's just going to be another gross street fight. These games really are. So a little bit lean towards the dog and the under, but nothing official for us. Speaking of gross, guys, this next one could be pretty gross as well, featuring one of the slowest teams in the country. UCF headed to Evansville, who is just, they want to suck the life out of you. They want the shot clock to go down to 2 or 3 every single possession. UCF has a major edge in athleticism here, length, size. But Evansville is just kind of feisty. Matt, you've been an MVC lover for your whole life. You like the Purple Aces. You like Todd Licklider. Spreads around 8. Again, a low total, 126. Do you think that low total is conducive to a cover for the Purple Aces, or do they get overwhelmed athletically here?
The spot's the only reason why I like Evansville here, because you go through every other component and it favors UCF. UCF's categorically more talented, more athletic. They actually have skill this year. I finally come around to realizing that UCF's better than Miami. You guys tried to inform me of that. I ignored you, and you were both correct. It's just a really deep, complete roster UCF has to offer. A big injury to watch, Ian and Aruna for Evansville. And I know that's a name that's probably not a major name, but Evansville has like no size up front, and he is the only guy that can provide any semblance of resistance. Evan Coleman's their other big, but he's more of a inverted stretch guy. And I think this could be an absolute onslaught on the glass guy.
Yeah, UCF should be awesome with this roster, but let's look at the results here. They beat Robert Morris by 10, which doesn't look good at all right now. They beat Miami by 6. Okay, not bad. Miami just might not be very good. They beat Jacksonville by 9. They just let teams hang around. They let these
short-handed Jacksonville
hang.
too.
Yep.
Yeah. And Evansville, they have gotten blown out by 2 superior opponents, just mostly because they can't shoot right now. They're 5th in the country in 3-point attempt rate. So they can't hit the broadside of a barn. I think the spread's kind of right. I just don't see how Evansville doesn't get completely overwhelmed. My fear is UCF just letting them hang around.
Yeah, it's Evansville covering here would be like, wow, this game is 50-45 with 3 minutes left. Like, what happened? This is disgusting. They got to hit a couple of shots, but yeah, Kyle, like you mentioned, they've been blown out a couple times. The Cincinnati blowout, I think, is the route for this game, or the comparison, right? Cincinnati just completely destroyed their offense, allowed 43 points, 68 possessions. I think that is something we could see here. I just don't really trust road favorite UCF at this point. So
first time leaving the state this year. Yeah, first time leaving the state. So I think that does matter.
Yep. All right, last one on the outline, and then we'll get to chat. We don't have any of the tournament games on the outline. So if you have questions about those, hit those in the chat. We'll hit them in the mob portion of our outline. But last one, Colgate at Syracuse. I don't know. I think the first team to get a stop here gets a gold star. I'm not sure how either defense gets anything done. Syracuse, their zone has been decent. There's a lot of length on the court, but it's not as athletic as it's been in the past, not as quick, especially at the top of the zone. And then Colgate is just a bunch of dead eye shooters. So they should be able to get some buckets against the zone, but I don't know how they stop Syracuse at all. Kai, high total, up around 150.
Yeah.
Do you think that's where we should be looking? Or are you looking more at the spread, Syracuse minus 10.5?
Yeah, fun matchup. I do lean towards the over for sure. Worth noting, Syracuse beat them by 16 in 2020, by 19 in 2019. I actually think it's kind of a tough matchup for Colgate because they cannot stop Syracuse, and Syracuse has overwhelming length. I can't believe Colgate lost to Cornell, by the way, Matt. I think that was a total anomaly. They played awful, couldn't shoot at all. And Syracuse hasn't really broken a sweat. They could be extremely good this season. Their shooting's unreal. I kind of buy the 50% from three. Unlike Howard, Syracuse literally has
so many shooters
on their team. Can Colgate shoot? Yep, absolutely. So the zone can be beaten, but they're not gobbling the glass. They're not hurting Syracuse on the boards, which is kind of part two of what you need to do against Boeheim's zone. So it's a competent mid-major. It's a double-digit spread. I just don't think the matchup's there, and Syracuse probably wins this one by, 15, 20.
Yeah, Kai, if they struggle with it, it's not because they're not familiar with it. Matt Langle, these two teams play pretty much every year. They didn't last season because of the condensed schedule. But you mentioned those 2018, 2019, 2020. I believe Colgate covered all three of those games, just slid inside the margin. They were big spreads. I think they're all like low 20s. I'll have to check the data on that, but I believe they snuck in there. So they know how to execute against it. The problem is that they're best against man because the offense that they run, that's where we see Colgate at their best operation or at their best offensive operation, And so, yeah, the zone, while it's not a typical Q zone, it's not as athletic as the teams we've seen in the past. They do have length, Jim, that can bother shooters. And I don't see how Colgate scores if they're not making shots. So I would stay away here. I'm curious how the pace plays, though. You're right. It could be a little more frenetic than we're envisioning.
Matt, I have bad news for you. Colgate has not covered against Syracuse.
Yeah, this seems high.
The last two meetings the spreads were 9 and 17.5. Syracuse got over those, and then the meeting before that was not lined.
Okay, because the extras. So, wow, low. I guess I've had Colgate or had Syracuse thought way higher than Colgate. Interesting. Okay.
Well, you've been Colgate's number one fan, Mr. Jordan Burns himself.
Yeah, but Burns, he's gone now, Jim. So it's on to greener pastures.
Kelly Cummings is a solid player.
He is kind of Burnsy 2.0 in a sense.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm with Kai. I kind of think Syracuse gets it done. I mean, Joe Girard's not going to shoot 100% from three for the season. He's currently 8 for 8.
We'll see.
Envision that continuing, but hey, yeah, who knows? Cole Swider will start to make a few more shots at some point. All right, that wraps up the outline. Let's go back to the chat mob. Remember, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Definitely appreciate that. That is huge for the Field of 68 and for us and for our sponsor, BetRivers. All right, Kai, what other questions do we have?
Jim, the chat is quiet. They're sleepy. We got no extra questions. For those watching on maybe a different channel,
heard that. Feel that.
Field of 68 Best Bets channel to monitor our chat. But Jim, I think we just go to our best bets, man, and let people watch some basketball.
Oh, yeah. I see one question. Let me audit you. Let me audit the auditor. There's an inquiry about Ryder Buffalo, I believe.
No. He's just saying
no. You don't want to. What?
He's not asking about Ryder Buffalo.
Oh, did I misread that? Let's talk about Ryder Buffalo. Let's get one question because I actually kind of like Ryder in this game. No, you don't want to talk. All right, fine. We'll move on. We'll do best bets.
Buffalo.
I don't think Ryder is good, and Buffalo is very good. So that my lean be towards Buffalo. Hey, there's a couple questions popping up now, Kai.
Boom.
Right, how about
you asking
Bryant?
you saw or she?
Big spread for Bryant. I got to remind myself of the play.
It got bet up to 17, I think.
Yeah, 18 even in some places.
18, okay.
They're playing Bethune-Cookman, who is bad.
Yeah, warranted. They have blowout potential. Jim, any side lean?
Not where the spread is at. If anything, I'd be mildly interested in buyback on Bethune-Cookman, but I don't want to get in the way of Bryant. Angry off the Clemson loss, and they've got Peter Kiss back, who is like immense in that game. So yeah, stay away from me.
Army plus 4.5 at LaSalle. I lean towards the Black Knights. I'll be honest.
I like LaSalle at the opener minus 3.5. I don't think they're really that good either. And I got burned fading Army with Merrimack. Army just absolutely destroyed Merrimack. So not a strong recommendation at all. Favorite LaSalle doesn't get me excited, Matthew. really nothing about LaSalle gets me excited. So
I know.
tread
I'm
lightly
with.
here.
I'm the same way. I feel like I should take LaSalle, but I look at the backcourts of both teams, and I think Josh Caldwell and Jalen Rucker are as good as any two guards LaSalle has to offer. That's how awesome that 2-3 is for the Knights. I'm going to stay away. I feel like I worry I have not respected the ground troops as much as I should have so far this year.
Agreed.
All right, let's do Navy and Radford. Spread 6.5 in favor of Navy. I think my number leaned towards Radford, and I said, nah, no, thank you. I'm not going to bet against Navy. Matt?
Same. I'm sick of betting against Navy. It has not gone well for me for years and years and years. Maybe I'm disrespecting the sea troops, the ocean troops, the water troops. So I'm also staying away. Don't really know what to make of Radford right now. And Xavier Lipscomb has been banged up, like key guard.
Montana -12 against Nebraska Omaha. If all of Omaha's guys are out again, I'd have to lean towards Montana.
Ooh, large favorite Montana. That's not a fun.
Lean,
that's not a fun ride. I will.
If they're all out again, I'm banging my head against the wall and taking Montana again. Montana large favorite makes me nervous, and Omaha has snuck in the back door or pounded down the back door in its first 2 games despite being shorthanded. Covered at K-State, covered at Ball State. Sorry, Kai. But still, I think they're going to have to run out of gas a little at some point if those guys don't come back. So keep an eye on their lineup. Wanjang Tut and Lamel Robinson are the 2 names you're looking for.
Okay, last game here. Apologize to the team total questions. I don't have them up, and frankly, I don't think we really look at team totals too hard. But if you guys have opinions on Syracuse team total, let me know.
Syracuse team total over. Go for it.
There you go. Okay. San Diego State -19.5 against Arlington. Well, I've put Arlington basically in the crapper after their last 2 performances, so I will no longer be on Arlington anymore. And I lean towards San Diego State. I think they might just kill them, Matt.
Yeah, I do too. They had a sluggish start against Arizona State. I think they come out with more conviction, and that will not play well for UTA, who loves to give the ball away. They hate possessions, hate
Arlington is dead last in the country in turnover rate, and now they're playing a team that's not going to give them anything easy. SDSU is not really pressure, but their pack line is difficult, makes you take long possessions, and Arlington will, the longer they have the ball, the more likely they are to turn it over. So that's bad news for them.
All right, Jim, let's do it. Best bets.
All right, Kai, right back to you, Mr. Best Bet. Lead us off here.
Hold your nose, folks. We're going Eastern Michigan +23. EMU has been feisty this year. They've played everyone close. Look at the Indiana game. They lost by 6. Okay, give us a little bit of confidence here. Stan Heath turning the program around maybe. I think they can stay within 23 here. Michigan State has a football game at 11 at Ohio State. That's pretty important. I think fans might be more caring about that one.
I like that angle.
They'd be traveling a lot to Ohio State.
Angle.
I don't think they care about this basketball game in the slightest. So I'm hoping for a sleepy spot here in Eastern Michigan +23.
I love that pick. I really do. I was almost going to take that myself. Kai hijacked it.
That's a stink. Thanks, buddy.
I'm sorry. Knock on wood. I'm with you. EMU's good. Saw them play in the exhibition against Oakland. Yes, I love reading too much in exhibitions. It's basically 4 good games I've seen the new regime play well. So I'm with Kai on that one. Jim, I'll keep the mic here. My best bet. Again, I just want to apologize again for taking Pitt yesterday. I should have to sit out a show as a suspension for endorsing.
Oh, you just want to sit out another show. You're on vacation.
I do. It's early. Oh. Hey, the sun's coming up though, so it's nicer.
That's like when you get
nice energy jolt.
Like kids get suspended from school. It's like, yeah, you have to not go to school.
Like, oh no,
too bad.
Oh, bummer. But Jim, I love learning, so I never did that. I was always in class first in the front row, raising my hand, asking all the questions.
Sure.
Today, SIUE, Kai, our SIUE Cougars, I guess sort of St. Louis proper, from where we hail. Tough effort yesterday for the Cougs. They had Niagara on the ropes, completely let it get away. Niagara got hot in the second half. SIUE is banged up. They've been banged up all year, but I think they're deep enough to hang in. They're top 8. The 8 that they have been playing consistently are good enough to cover 5.5 against a Youngstown team. They just got out-rebounded by St. Tommy's, a D3 team. They got out-rebounded on the offensive glass. That made no sense to me.
We would be like the starting 3, 4, and 5 for St. Thomas.
And so if Youngstown doesn't have that, which is, it's a former Bob Huggins disciple and Jared Calhoun there, that's what they're supposed to be good at. So if they're not even doing that well, I don't know what Youngstown has to fall back on. I think this could be a bad Youngstown team, and I'm looking to fade them right here.
And Garrett Covington got hurt yesterday.
And Covington also banged up. Yep.
Youngstown. Yep. All right. That's Matt's best bet. We got Eastern Michigan from Kai. We've got SIUE from Matt. And my best bet from earlier in the show was Utah -8. The Utes taking on Boston College, neutral site. Give it to me, Craig Smith. Let's see what you got. All right, that wraps it up. Anything else we want to hit on? Apologies to any extra questions in the chat. It's about ball time.
Is Matt calling money line for SIUE?
No, I'm not. If there's a money line today, you're going to take it's probably Tennessee Martin.
Let's go.
That's my money line special today. If you're going to do it,
back to the UT Martin. Well, I'm with you.
The Skyhawks.
Yep, we're flying high. Let's go, Skyhawks.
We'll make sure to replay this video again on Twitter.
Yep, absolutely. They're getting it done. All right, that is our Saturday show. We are back tomorrow, folks. Sunday show, same time, 11:15 a.m. Eastern time. Matt's not happy because of his vacation early wake up, but just go take a nap on the beach, buddy. You'll survive.
Yeah, I will do that.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. That's it. Thanks.